Real Estate Rockstars. Today we are interviewing Sara DeWulf. This woman is a beast. She is selling 150 homes a year as a solo agent. She also has a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, has rentals, owns another company. This woman is insane. And it really all goes back to consistency and providing the ultimate customer service experience. So you're going to love this interview. All right, now welcome Sara DeWulf from Idaho. Thank you or Iowa, right? Or both? Iowa. Gosh, I'm silly. From Iowa, joining us on Real Estate Rockstars. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. I'm really excited to hear more about your journey. We know that you are a pro. You've been in this for 14 years, but tell us a little bit about you and how you got into real estate and where you are today.
Sure. So I got into real estate. I was 24. I got licensed in 2010. I'm a second generation realtor. My dad was managing broker of our previous office. And I was in college and he kept talking to me about real estate. My major was psychology, which of course still comes in handy every day with some clients. So I knew that I didn't really want to continue going to school, and I liked listening to my dad's stories. And so I started tagging along with him. I'm really lucky to have the mentor that I did, of course, because this is a crazy business to learn. And then getting licensed in 2010 and living through COVID and all of those things, just seeing kind of every different market and now a different market that we're heading into, I think has been fun and challenging.
So having dad do real estate, I'm a mom, and my daughter, either she's going to hate it completely or love it, but like rolling her eyes when I'm answering a phone at 9 p.m. and that sort of thing. Talk about how watching dad made you want to do this.
Yeah, so I liked that he could, quote unquote, make his own schedule, which we all know how that goes. But I also liked that there wasn't a set ceiling of the amount of money that you could make. And it's really what you put into it. And you're starting. I didn't realize when I was 24 really what this is and growing a business, and that you're an entrepreneur. And in the beginning, you're the accountant, the bookkeeper, the marketer, all of the different hats that you wear. So I did like, even though it's a sometimes 24-hour, 365 job, I like that I'm not going to miss anything from my kids' perspective, or something that's really important I can schedule around. We have a lot of help and stuff, which matters, and it truly does take a village to raise kids and be a working mom.
So tell us a little bit about your business today. What does it look like?
Yeah, so over the years, I really have focused on being a relationship-driven business and not a transactional business. And in the beginning, all I wanted was for my phone to ring. And now, 15 years later, that's what happens. And I'm lucky that I continue to grow my business. And for the last 5 years, I've had over 100 transactions a year. Last year was my highest year at 148 transactions as a solo agent. But with that being said, there's a lot behind the scenes that I have too. Carrie, who is my director of operations, she runs everything behind the scenes. She doesn't sell, but she is licensed. So if I get in a bind, and she can open a door, attend a closing, things like that. So every year I strive to get a little bit better and create systems that make our lives a little bit easier.
150 transactions as a solo agent, having 2 young kids. That is insane. Are you mostly doing listings? How are you doing this?
Yeah, it's about 60-40 now. I would say it used to be 50-50, and now I have tried to do more listings than buyers, or I'll refer out buyers. If it's a past client or a direct referral, then I still will work with them kind of regardless of the price point. But buyers, of course, can take more time. Some buyers are really fast and buy something quickly. But I do like the listing side of things, that I can do a lot behind the scenes, and it's not necessarily a lot of time-consuming hours, although the marketing and keeping sellers happy in this type of market is much different than it was in 2020 when everything sold in the day.
No, absolutely. What types of systems have you put in place that have really changed your life?
So a lot of I switched brokerages a few years ago, and prior to that, I really just kind of felt like I was a real estate agent. And then after switching, I just realized, okay, I'm an entrepreneur that's really running this business. and keeping track. I'm not really a great numbers person, but I do keep track of how many transactions we're having, how many sellers, listings, where the business is coming from. And then Carrie and we use Trello a lot for keeping track of everything, made a list of everything that happens in every transaction with checklist and checks and balances to make sure that we're not dropping the ball, especially with the high volume of transactions. It's easy for something to get lost. So Carrie, she copies me on everything. So I'm keeping it going in my head, but we also have checklists that really keep us on track to get all the way to the closing table and then beyond. I like to keep in touch with clients, of course. I always tell them that this at the closing, hey, our relationship doesn't end here. I still want to help you when it comes to anything real estate related. I'm born and raised in the Quad Cities, I'm licensed in Iowa and Illinois. So I get a lot of relocation clients that maybe have never been here and I'm their first friend. So they need help with where to get haircuts and who can put in new trim in my house, all of those kinds of things.
What did you do to build this massive business you have today?
I would say in 2010, I knew I really was just kind of desperate to get closings and build the business. So I would say yes to everything, regardless of the price point, regardless of what the check would be, because I knew that, okay, if I sold a $40,000 house, they all had family and friends that would refer. And so for the last 15 years, that's what I've tried to do. My dad taught me that customer service is a lost art. And so if I can create raving fans, then I won't have to buy leads. My clients will speak for me. And that's really come true over the last 15 years. I try to go above and beyond, and not just from selling them the house to closing and being done. I try to go above and beyond so that it's a memorable and hopefully happy experience for them.
With this business, a lot of people, I'm sure you've heard it. They're like, you should start a team. You should start a team. You're doing this, leverage, but you have made the conscious decision to not go that route. Talk about that.
Yeah. So part of it, I think, is not being able to let go a little bit of the control side of things. I like to say yes to my clients still and help them. And I know that I could hire a buyer's agent and train them. Part of it is just not having a lot of time to do that. Secondly, I just haven't, I guess from a team perspective, I know that they can be done right. And some of them really work great. What I see a lot in my area is a lot of overturn when it comes to teams, where you train them and spend so much time and then maybe they move on to a different brokerage or a different team. And I think that's all great. It's just for me, I think I just like to be in charge and in control and really face to face with the customer so that they don't feel like I'm referring to them to someone else if they really wanted to work with me.
Yeah. For example, like let's say do you have other people host open houses for you and stuff? Or are you the one mostly doing that?
No, I do have people that help with opens. I co-own an office where I live, and we have 43 agents at our office. So we use a Slack channel to communicate, and we have an open house list. So my open houses get posted on there, and then the agents can sign up for a day or time that works for them and the sellers. I still do open houses, although I'd be happy with really not doing them anymore. Of course, I want to keep the client happy. And if my agents on my team can't make a time work based upon, or in my office, not my team, I should say, then I'll still do them, of course.
When you get a call on a sign call or something and you don't know them and you're at a kid's soccer game or something, do you just refer that out to someone that's at your office essentially?
I do, yes. Yep. If it's
Oh,
a
okay.
sign call or someone I don't know, then I refer it to an agent within my office that I can trust.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're like a solo mini team where you can still you do have help, you do have leverage, but you don't have all the expenses and stress of a team owner.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's a solo agent, but I do have a lot of help behind the scenes for sure.
That is awesome. So, going to your director of operations, she sounds magical and amazing. How the heck did you find her?
So my dad and I, when we worked together, we did all of our listings together and then buyers separately. He retired from management, and then him and I were going to continue to work together. He passed away kind of unexpectedly in 2019. And I remember looking at my husband when we were at the hospital, and they said, well, you might not make it through this surgery. And I remember thinking, oh my, like, what am I going to do? This has never even crossed my mind. And he did live, he didn't die that night. Thankfully, I had a couple more weeks with him. From there, I had a lot of time of okay, what now what? So I posted, I knew at that point we really needed a full-time assistant that him and I did. At that point, I was selling probably around 12 million and he was 8 million, which we thought we were busy back then, which really makes me
Mm,
laugh. And this was in
yeah.
2019. So I posted that I was looking for a full-time assistant, and an agent in our office was friends with Carrie, and she worked for an electrical company. And so she was ready to make a change, and she's licensed, which is awesome, but she doesn't need her name in the lights or the selling. She just really likes to be behind the scenes and help with everything. So her and I started with absolutely no systems in place, and it was hard for me to train her because, of course, every day is a little bit different in our world. So she's been with me for 5 years now, and we just continue to grow and scale, and I would be totally lost without her.
That is amazing because they always say that is the hardest position to hire for, and that you got it right the first time.
Yes, yeah, I really lucked out. Yes. And at the same time, I was pregnant with my first baby, and we were looking for a sitter, and we found just like this magical unicorn of a girl named Jessica who helped after I had both babies. And I think that I don't know if my dad had a hand in that, but I just felt like
Mm.
I had two people that were sent to me that just have been completely amazing.
That is awesome. Regarding like nurturing all your clients and your sphere, with everything you have going on with the kids, with all the transactions, how do you have time to stay in touch and do follow up?
Yeah, so I knew I'm not a big cold caller or door knocker. And so I knew that I really needed to work my sphere and make this so relationship driven. So from the beginning, social media, of course, and in 2010, Facebook, it wasn't quite as big of a deal as it is now. So I started social media marketing really early on in my career, which allowed me to be friends with people and kind of connect with them outside of the real estate transaction. I also like to do client events, and then we still do mailers 3 or 4 times a year, but I try to stick to things that I think people will use. So on Mother's Day, we'll send out a gift card for a local coffee shop. I like to pair with somewhere local. I include dog moms too, and just say, Happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a great day. And then we send out Iowa Hawkeye football is a big deal here because we don't have a national team. So every August, I send out the Hawkeye football schedule on a magnet, and then I'm on their beer fridge or their regular fridge all year long. So that I've been doing for at least 10 years. And every August, my clients are like, hey, when's this coming? They know to expect it. And then they're tagging me on social media and I'm sharing it. And it's just been this really fun thing. And then a couple client events a year just to keep in touch and say hello. I probably don't call my sphere as much as I should. I know that that's important, but I try to keep in touch with them via social media or events.
Yeah, I think that if you've done a great job for them and they just still see your name popping up every now and again, I think that goes a long way. You don't need to
Yeah.
call them as much if you really did great on the front end. They're going to remember you and keep coming back to you. They're like, you don't need to
Yeah.
check in on me. Like I'll call you.
Yes, yeah, and we put up arrow signs on busy corners, and I do have a lot of listings, so it's always a big compliment to me when my clients say, "Oh my gosh, we see your name everywhere," which of course is always the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. What type of client events do you do?
In over winter break, winter in Iowa is not very fun because it's so cold. So usually in December or January, while kids are on break after Christmas, where everybody's kind of bored, I'll run out a movie theater and we'll do a fun event with a movie. And I usually have my clients vote for what movie they want, whether it's on
Mm.
social media. So I try to have them involved. We'll do popcorn and it's sponsored, and so that's fun. This Wednesday, and this is with my whole office, but we're having a trunk or treat party. And then I usually do a pie around Thanksgiving time. So kind of holiday related, but I'm just checking in with them as often as I can. Another thing that I do is I keep an eye on social media when someone has a baby or they got married. We had two clients that one had twins this week and another one had another baby. So we send some sort of gift, whether it's spoonful of comfort or a cute onesie, just congratulations on your new arrival. And we're thinking about you.
No, I think that's so important where you're just real and authentic. And that goes further than, a mailer or anything. With your
Totally.
mailers, what types of things are on it? Because I've never been a big fan of them because it's really hard to
Yeah,
track ROI.
it really is. So I used to send out expired letters every Tuesday. And that was not to my sphere of close. Those are listings that have sold that for whatever reason didn't. That was something that really worked from just a direct mail perspective. And then the other one that I do is I try to send something that they're going to keep. I get so much junk mail just like everyone else. And how often do you just open it and throw it right in the trash? And I don't want to waste money like that. I mean, I think the top of mind awareness matters, but I want something that they can either use. So what we've done recently is just a grocery list magnet that has, it's got produce and all the different things they can write down. So it just stays right on their refrigerator, but it has my picture. It's all branded right to me. So they're looking at me every single day, even if they don't really realize it. So I've always tried to do something that is somewhat valuable or that they might use instead of just throwing it in the trash, because it is hard to track.
Yeah, no, I love that, having something that they actually use. With the expireds, were you using like a system that sent out the letters, or were you going in, looking at the listing, putting a letter together, and then physically mailing it out?
Yes, all me.
Okay.
And especially, I'm sure there's programs and things now. 2010, I didn't really know what else to do. And when you're sitting in the office all day, I came up with this letter, which I've shared as my tool. So I hope it works for someone else.
Okay.
Within this community. So what I would do is every Tuesday we have an office meeting. So after the office meeting, I'd go back in my MLS 7 days and say, okay, what listings expired this week? And I never wanted to market to another that had an agent within my office or anything. So I would try to stick to other brokerages. But I would go through and say, okay, well, this one didn't sell. I can tell because the pictures are horrible or the price is way out of line. And so I would just go down the list, and I maybe wouldn't send to every single one, but for the most part, I'd send quite a few. And in 2010, there was a lot more expireds than there were in 2020 to 2023. So depending on the market, I think we're heading back into a market where marketing to expireds works. And it was just the one letter, and I didn't follow up after that. Occasionally I might send another letter, but for the most part, it was just the one. And what really surprised me was the people that would call, they would save the letter for 6 months and say, hey, we got this 6 months ago. Now we're ready to sell again. Could you come over? And it was a big converter for me. I probably would get anywhere from 2 to 3 listings a year from it, which when you look at snail mail and how much that cost, it was a huge overall just win because I wasn't spending a lot to get the business. And I knew that they wanted to sell or they wouldn't have been on the expired list.
Yeah, that is great. I do love that. And I find whenever people are doing it that way, there's better success than sending out some canned email that all the expireds are getting. They probably have their name wrong. And I just think taking that extra time and doing it goes a long way. For people that maybe can't access the tool, right away, what does your letter say, for example?
Yeah, so it just says, it's not personal. So what I did was on the envelope itself, I would write their name and address. So it was handwritten. And then I felt like that helped them open it. And then the inside just says, I see that your home was taken off the market recently. If this is still something that you have the interest in selling, I would love to meet with you and offer you a 90-day no obligation, just kind of like, hey, I'll come over, tell you what I think your house is worth. If we decide to work together, you're not out anything. You only owe me if this closes. And then I have a link to my Calendly page. Sometimes I noticed that it was older people that were going to call me directly, but I did get quite a few that would use the Calendly and just book an appointment with me based on my schedule that week.
That's awesome. That's really great. And do you still do that today?
Has a link to my reviews so that they can say, okay, she's credible. Has 5-star reviews and all those things.
Yeah. And do you still do this today?
I do. I will tell you that 2021 to 2023 was pretty insane with the way the real estate market was and both babies and all of that. So, and not as many expireds. I was only finding a couple at a time. So now I'm back to doing them again, and it's starting to work again just because of the market that we've shifted into.
No, I think that's awesome. One thing I'm hearing throughout all this is just the consistency and going back to that. Like, yes, you've been doing this forever. You're selling tons of homes, but you're still going back to what has always worked for you and being consistent.
Yeah, I think that really is the biggest thing in this business is at my office, we do have a lot of brand new agents. And so I know that I am where I am in my career thanks to a really good mentor, but I thought that everyone was trained like I was trained. And
Yeah.
now you really see that, oh my gosh, this is a hard business to learn. And you get out of real estate school after 100 hours of learning and just to know nothing. So I think the hands on and just the reps of learning and going to as many appointments as you can, showing as many houses as you can, and just being consistent. Because I really see so many agents try something for a while and then it doesn't work and they give up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how can people find you?
Instagram would be the easiest. Sara DeWulf Realtor. I have someone that helps me with social media, but if you message me on there, it'll be me that responds. And I love to collaborate and brainstorm with people. So if I can help at all, that is the fastest and best way to find me.
Well, thank you. This has been so great and so inspiring on how you really can just do it all. Do it all with the kids and, selling a ton of properties and just building a big brand in your area.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Well, and again, people, Sarah's awesome. Reach out to her on Instagram, ask her any questions. And we thank you for hanging out with us. I'm Christina Leavenworth, and we will see you next time.